Welcome back to my channel. This may or may not be the third time I'm recording this video, so I really hope someone out here wants to hear this or finds this beneficial, because this has really been testing me. But I'm going to just speak about how much things cost here and what like the cost of living is and stuff like that. This is just going to be purely on my experience here and what I have actually paid for stuff. I know there's going to be some things that you can get cheaper or some things that are more expensive than what I'm saying. It completely depends on you and your budget as well. So I just wanted to say that to begin with, in case people are watching this being like, you can get that so much cheaper, or where's she getting that so cheap, it's way dear, blah blah. This is just personally what I have paid for and how much the things that I get and use cost. I'm also just going to say everything in Indonesian money, and then I'll put on the screen like at the side it in roughly in pounds and in dollars, just to give you more context. But yeah, so let's just get into it. The first thing I'm going to speak on is accommodation. This is one thing that's very varied. You can get really cheap accommodation and you could also get quite expensive accommodation. Completely depends on your budget and what you're looking for and what kind of room that you want. So the cheapest sort of accommodation would be a guest house. So that is basically where you get a room, like a private bathroom, and then you would share like a kitchen, like maybe like a wee living area, and then a pool. These can be roughly between like 4 million to like 7 or 8 million a month. So it's a good option if you are more on a budget, or like you're on your own and you don't need like a big villa, but you need a room. There then is what I am living in, so it's like a loft type like guest house. So I have my own kitchen and my own like living area, the sofa, and then I just share a pool with the rest of the people who live here. They will roughly cost about 10 million to like 13 million, so a wee bit more expensive, but you are getting that little bit more space. And then you have villas. So villas can be like, you would have the whole villa to yourself, or you could just rent a room in a villa, completely depends. But they will be the most expensive option, so they can be anywhere between 15 million to 30 or 40 million a month. Completely depends on the location, on how many rooms is in the villa, how fancy it is, loads of things. But yeah, it does sound quite expensive, but if you had like a 3-bedroom villa and it say it was 30 million a month and you had 6 people in it, it would work out roughly what you'd be paying if you were to get a guest house on your own. It does kind of work out the same price if you did have a group of people coming over here, or you knew people here already to get a villa. But if not and you're on your own, I'd probably just recommend getting a guest house, because they're probably the best value for your money if you're here. So the next thing is transportation. So everyone here just drives a bike. That's like the main way everyone gets about. It's the fastest and the cheapest. I actually don't know how much it is to rent a car. I have no idea, because just no one does it. We have an NMAX bike, so it's like a bigger bike, and it costs us 1.1 mil a month. I know if you get like a smaller bike, like a Scoopy or something, that will be a wee bit cheaper. Yeah, just obviously the bigger the bike you have, the more expensive it's going to be, or if you get like a newer version, it's going to be more expensive. We also bought our own helmets when we got here. They were 300k. I think mine was 300, and then Dougie's was 350 maybe. So you'd roughly be paying like say 250 to 400k for a helmet, depending on the style you wanted and even just whatever shop you go into. For petrol, we pay, so to fill our full tank, we pay 75,000. That would last us like a full week if we're just like staying within Canggu. Obviously, if we're going on like day trips and stuff, we may have to fill it a couple times, but 75,000 fills us. So yeah, so cheap for petrol. And obviously if you had a Scoopy, it probably wouldn't even cost you that much because it'll be smaller. Yeah, so parking, you basically don't need to pay for parking here anywhere. You basically just throw your bike up wherever you can fit it. The only place we've ever had to pay for parking is when you get like close to the beach. So if you want to park like right beside the beach, there'll be people standing and you have to pay 2,000 to park your bike there. Or if you don't want to pay it, you can just park a wee bit up and walk down. But that's the only time we've had to pay for parking. Yeah, so if you don't want to get your own bike and you don't feel comfortable driving, there are 2 apps I would recommend you to download. So the first one is Gojek and the second one is Grab. So they are bikes and cars. So it's just like taxis or like Uber or something like that. The cost of a bike, so if you're in Canggu and you want to go somewhere within Canggu, it's usually just like a basic rate. It's usually around like 11 or 12,000 to get like anywhere within Canggu, and then obviously the further you go out, the dearer it is, but they're still like so cheap and a really good option if you don't feel comfortable taking a bike yourself. We got a car from here to Sunur, which is like a 45-minute drive, and it was 140k, which is still just so cheap for like the length you're going. So yeah, the cars and the bikes are really cheap over here. But I'd recommend downloading those two apps, even if you are going to get a bike, because when you're like going on nights out and stuff, you'll need to get lifts home anyway. Okay, so the next thing is laundry. Basically, no one does your own laundry over here because it's so cheap to get it done for you. We do about 2 loads a week. There is 2 of us, so we do accumulate a lot of laundry, especially just with going to the gym and stuff. Yeah, we do 2 loads a week, and it's usually around 80,000 for our loads. So they measure it, or they calculate it in like the weight, so you'll be able to see how much it weighs, and then that'll show you the cost. I think the cheapest I've ever seen is like 7k per kg, and then that can go up to like 15 or 20k, just depending. But yeah, our load is usually about 80,000, and we pay that twice a week, which is just so cheap. Like, it comes back washed, dried, folded, ironed, everything. They also do like express options, like you can get it back in like 3 years, which is a wee bit more expensive. That might be like 15k per kg. But we usually just do the normal one, and it's back with like the next day. Okay, so like beauty stuff like the spa, nails, etc. I personally don't get my hair done here, so I can't comment on how much it is to get your hair done. For a girl, Dougie does get his hair cut like every month, and he pays 130k, which is probably a bit expensive, but he's very particular with his hair, and he'd rather pay like that wee bit more just to get a good job. I'd say you could get it cheaper if you looked about. The only thing I get done is my nails. So I go to Colours. They have a shop in Barawa and Batu Blanc, and on Fridays they do half price manicure and pedicure. So I get that done with a gel polish, and that costs me 315k, which is so cheap for like what I'm getting. Like, that's probably a bit more expensive for here, but I personally think it's like a really good deal, because at home that will be so much more expensive. I think you could get like just a regular gel polish, like no manicure, for maybe like 150 to 200k on its own, but I personally just like doing that deal. I think it's really worth the money. I know if you go to like the local spas, you could probably get it a wee bit cheaper too. But yeah, I would recommend that salon if anyone is coming here. For massages, I always just go to the local salons or the local spas and get massages. I get a 30-minute back massage for about 50,000, like 50 to 60,000 depending on the shop. A full body massage can cost anywhere between like 80 to 100,000. Foot massage, again 30 minutes or an hour, can be like 50 to 100, just depending how long you want it. So yeah, the massages are so cheap here, especially if you go to the local ones. If you go to like the more like bigger spas, you could be paying like 150 to 250 for a massage. So it just depends. If you would rather spend a wee bit more, that's fine, but I personally just like going to the local ones and paying that, because I still think it's worth it. I've been to both and they're the exact same. So that's one thing you can get cheap over here, and I get massages all the time because at home they're so dear, and here they're just so cheap, so why not? Okay, so food and drink. Food here is really cheap, like to the point where I've never cooked once, because I just cannot justify it when the food's so cheap. So if you eat in like local warongs, you could be paying, I think I've had a meal before that was like 20,000, like a full plate of food for like 20,000. But I would say roughly, but like I would say like 30,000 if you're going to go to local warong. And then if you go to like just normal restaurants and cafes, you could be paying between like 50 to like 120, I would say. I don't think I've ever spent over 120 on one meal. I maybe average around like 70 to 80,000 per meal. A lot of places don't include like the tax, so it'll say like 50,000, but then you need to add like 10% onto that. So just keep that in mind. But I would average about 70 to 80,000 per meal. Food here is so cheap. Even like the fancier places, like you're never spending like what you would spend at home for a meal. And then alcohol, so The beers here can be like 30 to like 50,000 depending what beer you get. So if you get like an imported beer, it'll be a bit more expensive, or if you just get like a local beer like a Bintang, you'll be paying like 35k, but a Corona could be like 55 or 60. So it just depends. Vodka and Coke can be like 100,000, so that's a wee bit more expensive, and you'd pay more if you want like Smirnoff or like an imported spirit as well. The other one on drinks is cocktails. So cocktails is another one that can vary depending where you're at. The fancier places can be like basically normal prices at home, but then you can get cheaper ones too, and then you can get ones like on offer. I would say they're between 50 to like 130,000 for a cocktail. Yeah, just depending where you're at. There's also ladies' nights on at a lot of places where you can like drink for free, or even just get like a couple cocktails like for like a reduced price and stuff. So one tip I would say is to go on to like all like the cafes and restaurants Instagrams, because they do have a lot of deals. So like a lot of restaurants would have like all meals for 50k on a Wednesday, or between 7 and 9 all drinks or whatever. So I'd highly recommend that. Okay, shopping. So shopping's one thing that is basically just like the same as home. So like they have like a proper shopping centre here that has like Zara, H&M, I'm not sure they have Sephora, I'm not sure they do, and it's just the exact same prices, like it's no cheaper at all. They also have like loads of boutiques here in Canggu, like there's so many, but I actually find them quite expensive. Like I've been into a couple before, and they're sometimes like the same prices like Zara and stuff, maybe even a wee bit dearer. So the only clothes I've bought have been from like markets, like local markets, like the Ubud markets, or there be like markets in Riza on a Sunday. There's a market in Love Anchor in Canggu. I got like long flowy trousers, and I think I maybe paid like 70k for them. And you can like get them cheaper. You just need to be good at like haggling down. I'm not very good at it. But yeah, you can get them cheaper. But I would say if you want clothes, go to the markets. If you want cheap clothes, go to the markets. But if you don't mind paying like the exact same price as home, go around to the boutiques, because they do have lovely clothes. Okay, so one tip I would say is if you want to use your 4G when you're out here, is to make sure your phone is unlocked. So I think if you buy a phone like directly, so say you buy a phone like from Apple, it'll be automatically unlocked. But if you get it from like O2 or like Vodafone, it's like locked to that like that service. Is that what it's called? Service? I don't really know. So I would make sure your phone's unlocked so that you can get a SIM when you come here. So I think the day after we arrived here, there's loads of wee shops, like loads of them on the street, where you can get SIMs, and we got a SIM card, and that gave us 35 gig for a month, and it was 130k. So then after that month was up, we went and topped it up, and we paid 100,000 for another 35 gig. You can obviously pay a bit cheaper, say get like 20 gig or 15 gig, and it'll be cheaper than 100,000. It could be like 50 or 75, but that's just personally what I had paid for. Yeah, just make sure your SIM is on, or your phone's unlocked, and it's easy to get SIM out here. Okay, so like toiletries, sun cream, all that stuff, that's one thing that is quite expensive over here. And like sanitary products for girls, quite hard to get. Like tampons, you can get other stuff, but tampons is actually quite hard to find. Not a lot of the shops do them, and I bought a box one day in like a Guardian, and I think I paid like 150k for it, or like 130k, something ridiculous for tampons. So if you're a girl, bring over as much as you can, because they're not like the same brands at home anyway. So yeah, they're quite dear. Sun creams are more expensive, and they're like higher factor, so if you want to bring like a 15 or a 10, you need to bring that from home, because they won't do them here, and some of them have like a whitening ingredient in it, so not good if you want to tan. But yeah, they can be quite expensive, and the skincare and stuff can be quite expensive too, and it's not all the same products that we would have at home. So I would recommend bringing, if you have like particular things like skincare that you want, just bring it from home, or like your shampoo, just bring it from home, because it will be more dear to buy it here than to just get it at home. Okay, so the last thing is the gym. So that's one thing that can be quite expensive here. It depends what you want to do. So I personally am with CrossFit, like Wanderlust CrossFit, and I pay 1.95 mil a month. That gets me unlimited classes and open gym, like free open gym. So I don't think that's dear at all. Like, I think that's completely reasonable. The only way it's like annoying is when I want to do like other classes. So if you want to do, say, like a Muay Thai class or boxing or Pilates or yoga, anything like that, like a day pass and one like any of those other places, you're looking at least like 150 to like 300k for a day pass. So if you add that on top of what you're already paying for your month, it can be quite expensive. I think if you just want to do open gym, like in CrossFit, like, so like you don't get any classes, you just get to use the facilities, it's 1.3 mil a month. So that could be a good option if you just like doing your own stuff and you don't need the classes. So a tip I would say is when you first come over and you're not quite sure what you want to do a couple of day passes in places and then just pick one and do like the unlimited pass, because it'll work out way cheaper than if you were to do day passes every single day, because that would add up to be a lot of money. Also, like soccer and AFL that Dougie goes to, so he does that at Finn's Rec and he pays 50,000 per session. So it's like a training session, sometimes they have matches. If you want to rent a surfboard for the day, Dougie paid 50,000. He just went down to the beach and just asked a random boy. I assume they're all roughly the same. You could probably get a wee bit cheaper if you tried. Okay, so I think that's everything that I wanted to mention. If I've missed something out and you really want to know how much it is, please comment it down below and I'll get back to you. But I hope you find this helpful, because this has been a challenge to record. So hopefully it helps one person who's coming here to live or on holiday. But yeah, my time in Bali is actually coming to an end, which is very sad. But I want to get some videos pre-recorded because I'm going traveling for a few months, so I want to have some sitting ready. So if there's anything you want me to do while I'm here in Bali, please let me know so I can record it and get it ready before I leave. But yeah, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.